On this podcast, we share a nuanced view on discussions involving relationships, self growth, and perspective. I am 27 years old, and every week I'm joined by a counterpart. This week, I'm joined by another male, finally. Right off the bat, JJ, how is your love life?
Life sucks. I'm gonna be 100% love life sucks so I'm a DJ. So in my industry, everything is hinged around your love life, who you're seeing, that image that people expect of you. It's all circled around that. Love life, it's okay. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, you've made a lot of changes recently. You're an international celebrity DJ. You've made some insane marks in your life. And to give a little context, now Phonixxs is in Vietnam. And yes, he is black, but he's also like what, Filipino or something?
I'm everything, bro. At this point, I have Viet, I'm half black, I'm half Indian, I'm half Russian, and it's
Yeah, with his DJ styles especially. If you check out his edits, I mean his last concert in Dallas, Texas, where I met this man and I DJ'd for 2 years, and a big part of that was thanks to his help. 4 months into DJing, he offered to enter me into a DJ battle, and things just went crazy from there. So he was also a big part, I have to say this, for like men's mental health. I want to mention this because that's on one of our notes. I used to be a very big alcoholic and a little bit of a cokehead too. And Phonixxs knew me then. And I made a lot of mistakes and errors, a lot of things where he could have easily wrote me off or not helped me out at all. But he gave me multiple chances, and one on one, JJ, I got to thank you for giving me a chance to come back and still help me and be an amazing friend throughout that.
man, look, stop trying to make me cry. But no, hey, I'm extremely proud of you. This is what, almost a year sober for you?
Year and a half
Year
sober
and a half
and
sober.
2 off of drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, good job. I'm proud. Very proud.
Thanks, man. You were instrumental in that too. It was a negative way of looking at it, but you're one of the people I looked up to. And when I realized like I disappointed you on getting drunk after the DJ battle and some events like that, it was one of those triggering events that made me want to change for good finally. And no one could really tell I was suffering until it just got too bad and I was just embarrassing myself. So the self sabotage was way more internal than external,
Yeah.
but still, for staying in my life and being one of those few, honestly, it's like a handful of people that really stuck through me throughout all of that. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that, man.
Oh,
Men's mental health wise, how does that relate to you?
man, it's a tough
Yeah, it's a
question.
jam packed.
Man, that's a
Yeah,
tough
man.
question off the bat. So I started, it's not really a club or anything. This is mainly like a internal thing because I know how guys are. I know how guys are. It's because I'm the same way, is that every Tuesday I just invite any of the men that I know, any of the men that are around me, I invite them to just do what they love for a day. And it sounds weird to girls. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you mean do what you love. But I always ask them, and I'm like, hey, do something you love. Like my thing, and this works for me, is my thing is I love going to the movies every Tuesday. I go to the movies every Tuesday. Give me a big ass bucket of popcorn, most 95, 90, actually 98% of the time by myself. And I love just watching movies by myself and just getting to know myself, getting to know what I don't like, getting to know what I do. And people always ask, they're like, why do you do that? That's weird. Like, why would you go to a jam-packed place by yourself? I tell them it's mainly because men's mental health, because like men don't really ask for help until it's too late, or men don't really ask for help at all. And then it is too late. And also for me, coming from a military background, guys don't ask for help. And that's just the bottom line. And when guys don't ask for help, usually the other alternative is just not want to be here anymore. And like this past year, like going through as much, past 2 years really, going through as much as I did, and like mental health is like the number one, because I will say it, and now I can admit it to everybody. Like my small group knew this before anybody, but there was a point in time where I was just like, I'm on top of the world. Like I'm doing all the shows, you're doing all of this. People expect everything of you. But there was a point in time where I was straight up, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's not just I didn't want to be in this city. I didn't want to be here in the state. It was more like I legit did not want to be on this earth. There are 5, 6, 7 times last year and the year before that scrolls through your mind, and you don't admit it as a guy. You never admit it as a guy. You just always have that attitude of, fuck it, we ball. I'll figure it out. Let's keep going. And people don't really realize how that affects you. Like people don't really realize how things that they do that seem small to them, they don't realize how it affects you. Like everyone always thinks just because, oh, you're an entertainer, you're a DJ, you're doing all these cool shows around people all the time. Like, why would you be, upset? Why would you be sad? Why would you not want to be here anymore? Why would you like do all that? And I love going back to Tim, like Avicii. Avicii was basically the same. Man was literally on top of the world. Like man had everything that anybody could want in life. And then he still felt lonely. And people don't understand is that there's no blueprint to this. There's no roadmap. And you never know how you're going to feel about a situation. You never know how you're going to feel about someone saying something about you. Yeah, it's easy to say, I don't give a fuck, shrug it off. But sometimes like it does affect you. And sometimes it does not hurt you in a way, but it definitely like hits you here. And then you start to look at yourself differently. And then like people just don't get it until you're in that situation, you don't get it. So yeah, men's mental.
How would you
Yeah. Before,
how would you want someone to show up for you when you were going through those things?
I guess just honestly, just being there because it takes a certain level of maturity for males to just be like, reach out and just be like, hey, I'm struggling. And that takes a lot of courage right there. But most men won't even do that. Most men will just be like, yo, you want to go for a beer? Oh, you want to go to the soccer game? You want to go to the baseball game? You want to go see a basketball game? You want to go watch a movie? Like just little small
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, the problem with that is you end up at hanging out with someone and drinking just to not feel lonely,
Yeah.
but you don't ever address the root cause of things. Like anytime anyone goes out to a bar by themselves, it's usually just so they can be alone without being alone. And it's never spoken up about what's really bothering you. So you've had some things that have bothered you. It sounds like you were under a lot of pressure. You were there for so many people. You were helping out so many people. You were doing so many things at once. So overwhelm, pressure, and then probably just maybe judging yourself about how much more you could do, like going into an anxiety loop. How could you have shown up for yourself while going through that also?
Hindsight is really 2020. It seems like an easy answer now. But I guess back then I was never looking at it just because I was always helping someone else. I was always doing something for someone else and just not really looking out for yourself, if that makes sense.
And define that as pure form of depression.
Right.
When it's about everyone else except you, someone highlighted that as the false narrative into the biggest depression stage of your life. That was one of the therapy quotes I had heard before. So you were in that.
Yeah. And yeah, you're 100% right because like I remember I texted my group one day and I had never texted this to anybody. Like I've never reached out to anybody because I've never really needed to. And I straight up told my group, I was like, because they were always inviting me and stuff like, hey, let's go to this, let's go to this. I straight up told them one day, I was like, hey, to be totally honest, I'm depressed and I don't know what I'm going to get out of it, but I really don't feel like coming outside. And there was a good point in the past, let's say June of 2022 until, wow, it was a lot longer than I thought. I just thought about it till around like January, February of 2024 where I really didn't accept that many shows. And it's different when people are like, oh, that's your job. Like, why would you not accept shows? But I've always prided myself on giving the best shows. And I've always prided myself on giving the best energy. And when you don't have it, especially for me, like when I don't have it here and I don't have it here, there's no point in going out and trying to give somebody something. Like, yes, my shows are still going to be like top notch. My performance is still going to be top notch, but it's not the same. And the experience isn't the same, especially like when you're,
You yourself don't feel as whole
yeah,
when you finish those shows.
yeah.
Is that why you moved to Vietnam?
I, I just needed to leave. I was dying. Like I told my friends and I kept telling everybody that asked, like, why are you leaving? Like you have so much here. I didn't really get a solid, amazing friend group until like around that 20, like late 2022, 2023, Like I didn't really get an extremely solid friend group. And that was the first time where even in my life, I was like, oh, these people are here for you. Like they're actually here for you. And not just because of what you do, not just because of what you can do for them. They're just here because you're you. And it's just a different feeling because that's just never been a thing for me. So
Who are you?
yeah. Yeah, who you are as a person. And people always ask like, why'd you move? Why'd you move? Like, why would you leave everything? I literally was like, I just need to get away. It's just my mental health, my creativity. Yes, I'm still creating amazing things, but I think if you listen to my music, like what I produce, yes, it's along my style, but it's a lot darker than I would like it to be. And like everyone's like, oh yeah, hard techno dark. I was like, yeah, that's normal, but it's just like it's a different nuance. Yeah, just leaving in a sense just gave me just like a breath of fresh air. First, randomly, yeah. Why the fuck would you go to Vietnam of all places? Like, why leaving the US? You're leaving shows, you're leaving money, you're leaving everything to go to the US, to go to Vietnam. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Yeah, I needed to breathe that badly.
You've taken some huge steps in your life as a, I won't mention your age, but as a pretty young man, close to my age. You've gone to the movies by yourself, you prioritize men's mental health, you've got your group chat going, and you actually said the words you're depressed. Sometimes actually saying the emotion itself can free you so much more than even if the group text replied and was there for you or not. You just admitting that out loud in public and being vulnerable about it is huge, even on this podcast, admitting those things. And then taking the big move to go to a whole different country, live on your own, and start from scratch. Those are all things you're taking for your own mental health. I want to ask, how do you actually want to be viewed by either a significant other, a lover, or any human being on this earth? Forget DJing, forget all the things you do to bring value. You just being valuable as a human. What is your values? How do you want to be known?
Um, I've always said I never want to be a person that is shallow. So I don't let people know anything about me. And there are people that have been friends with me for 6 years, have been friends with like people that have been friends with me for 10 years that don't even know like where I live. And I've always been a very private person, but like everyone always thinks they know things about me. The rumors that I hear or the rumors that other people hear about me, it's always unfounded, but it's also like very off-putting because you just sometimes it gets to you. So when you look back and like how do I want to be viewed, I'm like, I'm just a normal guy. Obviously, I've done crazy things in my life that don't make me a normal guy, but I just want to be a normal guy. I just want to be a family man. I don't have kids, but I just want to be a future family man. I want to be, just happy and someone is there for my friends as much as they've been there for me and, just really goal oriented. Like I've always been a very deep person when you get to know me, but up until like this past year, I haven't really let anyone get to know exactly who I am. So I guess, yeah, those would be the top three. Is just,
Yeah. It sounds like you want to be a simple man with simple desires, such as having a family, having a wife, having kids.
yeah.
Those are all the things you desire. And those are missing in your life. And that's gotten your mental health up. And you've done so many crazy things that you would think would attract a good volume of women that may be good candidates. But I'm sure you have a love life story on that. Instead, I'm going to jump to this. What are some rumors you'd like to clear up? Maybe it's related.
Man, like ever since I started my career and in the industry, I will tell you straight up, in the industry, everything deems off of clout status and jealousy. That's just the industry that we're in. And I had to learn it doesn't matter how good you are at your skill or how good you are at your job. It's just, you're just going to have to deal with all the rumors as you keep going. Cause like I said earlier, there's no blueprint to this. There's no roadmap to this. And I remember when I first got into the scene, that's when I started like really like knocking on doors and kicking down doors that haven't been touched in a very long time. And then people will come up to me and be like, yo, you're married with kids? And I'm not married. And I definitely don't have kids. That's like, where'd you hear that? And they're, oh, people would say that. Or people say, oh, yeah, you're over here hanging out with all these girls. Yeah, I heard that you were having sex with tons of girls, blah, blah, in the industry. And I'm like, the people that know me very well is I don't even go out. If it's not with like my group, like my little small group, or like the extended group that flies in, I'm not going out. And when I do go out, I go to fuck home. That's just always been me. Like 2 o'clock hits. If I'm not going to an afters and hang out with my friends, I'm fucking going my ass home because I like to be at home and I like to be in bed. So yeah. Oh yeah. Having sex with all these girls, hanging out with all these girls, fuck. Then the most recent ones is like hanging out with, and I never hang out with anybody that I work with. And I started hanging out with one of the girls that I worked with, and I got text the other day. It was like, oh, you're saying things about me that aren't true about our relationship. I was like, bitch, first of all, I don't even talk about you to anybody. Like, I talked about this person to about two people, and it's all stemmed on working out and, hey, this person's nice to me. And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, they're like, oh, well, what does it take? What does it take? XYZ. And I'm like, fucking be nice. That's all I care about. Be nice and be a human. If you have a problem with me or you have something you want to say, fucking ask me. Like I had got into it with like last October with one of the bottle girls over a situation about like money. And literally the situation stem from the venue owner not paying me and then changing numbers. And then even though I wasn't even there, I got blamed because it was my event. I got blamed for not paying them like what they were deserved. And then I literally had to sit down with the owner. I was like, yo, what the hell's going on? This is the numbers, but this is the numbers we got. And then I'm getting accused of XYZ. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I had nothing to do with this. And like when I pull up all the receipts, like I'm the receipt king. So when it comes to like rumors and, oh, JJ said this, I'm like, I got the receipts on top of receipts. I'm a huge receipt guy. I keep everything. That's why my phone storage is always full, but I keep everything. So when it comes to rumors, I'm just like, none of them have been found true. And I'm just a normal guy and I just be sitting here 99% of the time minding my own damn business and drinking my fucking cranberry juice or eating popcorn. So that's why.
Always with the cranberry juice. The tea you get from Johnny is that cranberry juice tea.
Mhm.
Is there any specific person or event or venue that you want to expose? Because industry peeps is one of the things on our list. And it sounds like you want to say so. Now that you're safe in Vietnam and you're completely starting over, because it sounds like everything spiraled out of control on how many shit shows were going on in your life around here, is what you're saying. So now that you're free in Vietnam and you've got asylum, anything you want to expose?
Boy, you stupid. Oh, they say I got a silent, but man, like I will say this is like part of what sent me into that depression is I'm like the past 4 years, I've been doing good everything for the Asian scene, the Indian scene, the like Russian scene, the Viet scene, like everything. And especially just the minority scene in general. And building those scenes, even like the Brazilian community out of nowhere. But even like building those scenes and meeting those people and helping those people, I think people often forget that what you do, especially like how much you do, they just forget about it if you stop doing stuff for them. So I remember I looked at my career and I was like, hey, I want to take a step back from planning things, running DJs, like helping DJs out, doing shows, like helping people out. I want to take a break from that. And then like I had people that I would put people on stages that not that they weren't ready for, but stages that they would have waited like probably an extra 5 years to even get on that stage or get an opportunity to be on that stage. I put them on that stage because I, in my heart, believe that they're ready for a bigger stage. And then coming back to it, flipping back around, I remember I was one night and this was like just a guest DJ. It was me and my boy, Matil. Shout out to Matil. And we were just hanging out and me and this venue, I guess he's a manager. We've had beefs because when I started DJing, I was there. And that's back when I was DJing for 250. No, I think I started at 200 for 5 hours. Then I got upgraded to 250. Then once I got a big name, or bigger name in Dallas, then I remember I liked this place a lot because it was very close to my house. And I asked for like $100. No, I asked for 350 for 5 hours or 4 hours. And the manager that I had beef with, he was like, oh no, we want to just move to separate. And I was like, all right, cool. And this is after I'd already brought tons of people in. The Nepali community knew I was going to be DJing on Fridays and Saturdays. So they would always come and just hang out and come drink. So like people knew that I would be at that place. So basically I got a text from a friend. I don't even know if we're friends, but a former friend that like at the end of that night, cause shit happened. I ended up getting kicked out and I didn't even do anything to get kicked out. I was literally DJing. And then the owner, not the owner, the manager talked sideways to him. He straight up was like, oh yeah, his name is Ross. He's probably one of the most racist managers I've ever dealt with in my life. But like, he straight up was like, I told him about if you connect a PC and then you have a MacBook connected into a DJ board. So if you have those two connected into a DJ board, if this person's sound is higher and this person's sound is lower, it doesn't matter like what you do on the main because like it's going to fluctuate no matter what. So I literally tried to explain it to him like that. He turns around and tells me, you're going to just do what I fucking say whenever I fucking say it. And straight up like that, like Justin, like straight up like that. And you should see my face. I was like, I know he's not talking to me. I think he's lost his everlasting mind. And I remember I really wanted to actually fight, but then I'm like, damn, I got a career. I can't really throw hands. I can't do what I used to do. So let me just bite
That's
my
the part about self-defense. When you have all that self-defense knowledge, you can't use it. Is you have to walk.
yeah. And so I ended up just like biting it. I was like, don't fucking talk to me that way. And I've gotten onto him in the past before because like when I used to DJ there, and even still when I would come and visit the servers, he would talk to the servers like fucking crazy. Ross would straight up just be like, you walk in, sit down. The girls would be tending to another table. And then he would run up to them and be like, the fuck is your problem? Go talk to this customer. I'm like, don't fucking talk to the girls like that. They literally, the people would just sit down. How you going to ask somebody, hey, what do you want to drink? What do you want to do? Like XYZ. And you just sat down 7 seconds ago. What do you expect of these girls? And like he would talk like that to all these girls. And that's just how he would talk to them. And I straight up told him, I remember 4 years ago, stop fucking talking to people like that. Like you're not Jesus. You're barely fucking manager. Don't talk to people like that. So fast forward to this present day, that's why we had beef. Then like he ended up kicking me out. He's like, oh, this is my bar, like XYZ. I'm like, first of all, you're manager. It's not your bar. So I was like, all right, I'm leaving. I gotta go. I end up walking out. And like later on, I get a text from someone and that text basically literally said, like still got the receipt to this day, what happened. And then I explained what happened, exactly how it happened. And then like he texted me and goes, basically it was a long ass message. And the punchline was, I love your ego, but not you. And what I always go back to is this person had been DJing in the scene for probably 8 to 10 years and no one would get his man a chance. I get his man a chance when nobody else would. And like I always say, it's like, it's always my ego for as a question whenever like you're on the stage. It's my ego when I'm over here knocking down doors, getting people in places. It's my ego when I'm letting you open for famous artists. It's my ego when I'm doing all that. But it's not my ego when I want to step back and stop doing things for people and I just want to be a normal human and focus on my own career. Then I have an ego. I was like, those two don't correlate. So like, that's just one of the smaller instances. Like, well, when you do something for someone and then stop doing something for someone, then they have a problem. And like I said, I've never had a problem with anybody. I've always done my job and gone the fuck home. So that's one of the things that like also hurt. It's just because I'm like, yeah, do I have an ego when it comes to this? Yes, I fucking love this shit. I love what I do. I'm one of the best in the world at what I do. But for you to come back after getting all these chances, all these opportunities, then to be like, oh, now I don't like you because you don't give me the same opportunities you gave me a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. What the fuck?
This is the exact personality and ego draw and persona I want to draw out of you in this podcast. Because I want everyone to see both of these sides of you. Most people will not accept that side of you, and you've went through that. But here's where it makes the biggest difference. Yes, your ego, your bravado, all the ways you get things, all the ways you protect people, all the ways you show up for people, that is a superpower. That's your superpower. And yet you still have values that ground you and care about other human beings. This is like the duality of you as Phonixxs that I think we just got out within 30 minutes of this podcast, is that you are not for everyone. But at the same time, I think if people could step back and look at both sides of you, they'd see this is a good human that can actually bring value with his ego. And there's something to be said about why he does that for so many other people.
And I'm always going back to me being a Marine is I've always straight up been like, I protect those who can't protect themselves. And that's how I will always be like, even if it costs me myself, I'm still going to protect others. Like my small group. And even so, Taylor, I call her my little sister. And like Tiffany, I call her my little sister in the industry. Like straight up, those two, like you wrong them. I promise you, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure like you are not in this industry anymore. Because like when it comes to like people that I protect and I love, nobody's going to do anything to those people. And that's just how I've always been. And yeah, it takes ego to do that. And yeah, it takes value
It
to do
does.
that. But yeah, that's just how I've always
It
been.
really does. And that's the duality that highlights you as a human being. Besides the DJing, that is you. And that is something I think a future partner and your kids will absolutely love and enjoy about a father and a husband. Tiffany, Taylor, all those people you mentioned, those are really close to you. They get that protection from you no matter what. But those bottle girls, those servers, those people that, with that man Ross, which I don't know, but sounds like a racist, absolute bastard. So those people were even being protected by you. I can imagine how long that manager has gotten away with so much, and rarely has anyone spoken up against him. This is why you matter. This is why ego matters, because negativity always speaks louder than positivity. And you standing up is the positivity speaking up for once.
Man, yeah, you're 100% correct. And I always say that is that they're like, why do you love different cultures? Why you DJ for different cultures, XYZ? And the cultures that I happen to love are the cultures that the world really doesn't accept. Take, for instance, I don't really do that much K-pop music. Do I like it? Yes. But do I jing for that community or do I stand up for that community a lot? Not really. And people ask why. And it's straight up because Koreans are probably the most well represented group on the fucking planet, especially in the music industry. Like everything like that's been hits in the past like 4 or 5 years. Most of the shit's been K-pop. I know people that don't even get off their couch to go exercise, but them motherfuckers learn Korean because they want to watch Korean shows and go learn about Junie and learn about all these boy bands and K-pop bands and girl groups. That's just doesn't resonate with me because they're already represented. They're already taken care of. I always throw down for the Viet community, the Indian community, the Thai, Laos, Cambodian community, like the really small marginalized communities that people are just like, no, like for instance, that TikToks, what race would you not date? And the answer is always fucking Indian. And I'm like, or like the videos that you see of like the Indian street food, people are like, oh yeah, we're never going to India. They such stuff they do with that. I got a chance to go to India, live in India and learn the culture and like being there and learn the people. And what I always say is like, they're some of the best humans on fucking planet. Like I know you're from Bangladesh and like they're some of the best humans on this earth. And people don't understand that. And that's like the people that I like to represent for because yeah, on one side you see like the Ambani family. Like that's why I'm very happy that wedding happened and it happened like it did. Because I know he did it for this reason. He did it straight up because he wanted to show the world that India isn't what you think it is. Like India, there's so many parts of India. There's parts of India that would wrap circles around Beverly Hills. There are parts of India that New York can't even touch. And that's what people don't understand. They're just like, oh yeah, they're like rural people. They live in huts. They do things with their feet. They're not clean, XYZ. And I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking tourists. And that's the image that people want to project. And that's why people aren't keen to go there. In Vietnam, for example, people always ask, why the fuck did you go to Vietnam? I'm like, because I like to represent for the people that don't have a chance to represent for themselves. Vietnam was a move that I did because I wanted to be here and understand the culture and learn the culture because I loved it so much and love it unapologetically, if that makes sense. Same with India. Like I love Indian culture unapologetically. Like I'm deep in it. I just released a remix yesterday because I was walking and I was like, I can mix this song. So I just released another edit yesterday. So that's just a part of who I am, going back to that. And I think that's what you have been trying to get out of me.
Yeah, it's how accepting you are of so many others because you also want to be accepted for who you are. So you've also traveled all over the world and met all kinds of women and dated just about every race. One of my views and like growing up in Bangladesh and then living here and just having a diverse group of friends, I have always maintained this mentality like it's the same shit everywhere. No matter where you go, it's just humans. You create a certain political governance and it can change some behaviors and it can create a different culture. You introduce religion, which is usually just culture in general, and it can change things. But at the end of the day, it's humans. Like even growing up in Garland, like that's that small city in Dallas, Texas area suburbs. In some areas, I'm like, this is Bangladesh all over again. And then I go to East Texas, where I'm like, I'm afraid to get strung up. And I told my East Texas friends, I'm not going. I don't care. I'm not going. You got to kidnap me.
Mm.
And I go there. I'm like, I feel more at home here with you folks than anywhere else because I'm like, oh, you guys are actually marginalized because you guys are the poor. Not everyone in East Texas, but the area I was in, it was like my poor East Texas friends.
Mhm.
And if they see this, I didn't mean to call you poor, but it was like that area. I was, oh, okay, this is like Bangladesh all over again. We're actually all sitting out, we're building campfires, we're hanging out outside all the time. And then once the sun goes down, everyone's going to bed. They'll get drunk, they'll get shit faced, but by 10 p.m., the city's done. That's like the similarity I've seen all over the place. And it makes me curious. As far as finding a woman that you value, JJ, I'm starting to think that it really doesn't matter where you go. So you might even be seeing this, that it doesn't matter where you go. It's about the value system. And you might get a higher concentration depending on where you go. So what is the value system you're looking for in a woman?
To be totally honest, man, like coming from my last relationship and like the listening to so many years fucking it up and then taking that to a girl that I was dating and then not fucking it up, but like stepping back in that instant. This is a good minute ago, but like now I straight up tell people and I straight up tell women, I straight up tell them, I'm looking at them in the eye and I'm like, be a nice human being, be a person of your word, do what you say you're going to do. Don't lie, be straight up honest and just be a good human to others. I don't give a fuck. Really, like honestly, truly, I don't give a fuck how you look. I give a fuck about the person you are inside because no, you can't change your looks, but true values go a very long way. And like that's always been my thing. I'm always open to any and everyone, every race, every like culture, every background, every religion. But it's always boils down to do what you say you're gonna do and be a fucking good human being. That's really all it comes down to at the end of the day. Like I want at the end goal, whenever I find a wife and you know, find kids and stuff like that, I want my wife to be a good mother to kids. That's pretty much it. I want them to be there for the kids, there for me when I need it, somebody I can rely on, somebody I can lean on, and somebody who basically grabs my face and says, fucking be stupid. Stop being stupid. Stop.
I know exactly what you mean because that was one of the questions. So it seems like the value system is mainly about integrity in a woman. And then a lot of the things that you exude, you want similarities on. And my question follow up to that was like, how do you want the woman to be opposite of you? And it sounds like a part of that is like calling you out on your own shit and like challenging you to be a better human being yourself, which that just tells me that you're self aware, that there's some work you have to do too. And it also shows me a little bit of self acceptance that you're just never done growing up and you're okay with accepting yourself for where you're at now and a partner that would best suit you is someone that also accepts you for where you're at right now and then picks up the missing pieces on from her and then from you as well.
Yeah,
That
like
being said, that type of woman, what do you think you have to do to become someone that attracts that? Because this relates into boundaries and standards. Now, I've heard rumors, and then I also can dig into you a little bit. I can see that there's probably some toxicity going on about JJ. You actually brand yourself on toxicity sometimes. So that comes along with boundaries and standards, right? And actually going along. Talk that shit. So, what are areas that you want to change your own integrity on with women so that you're no longer in that scene? And I don't mean to make this a longer question, but provide a little context on that. When we're around certain women, it's usually because we are already exuding that type of toxicity that attracts that certain type of scene. And the only way to get out of it is to change a little bit of internals, again, those boundaries and standards. And then a whole world gets shown with one woman, maybe. And then you're like, okay, this is where these women hang out. And now your eyes open up to a different set of women. It's like you're looking for a car, you're looking for Toyotas only, you'll only see Toyotas, right? Then you start looking for Lexuses, which JJ was sponsored by Lexus before. Then your eyes may start being open to Lexus. They were always there, but now your eyes and your intention and your integrity opens up to that. Long-winded way of saying that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% understand what you're saying because yes, there are two sides to my job. Like me on stage is 100% different from JJ off stage. And I don't think people connect that because people always expect me to be Phonixxs. No one ever expects me to
Right.
be JJ.
Yeah, let's clear that up.
So yeah, like me on stage is always a whole different person. Yes, you're gonna see me be an entertainer. Like I'm always gonna, I don't know always, but right now I'm always gonna entertain the crowd. My shirt's probably gonna come off. I'm probably gonna be pouring tequila down some random girl's throat. I'm probably gonna be doing push-ups with a girl on my back. Something random. But you're never gonna see the toxic side of me come out where I'm on like I'm on stage making out with girls. I'm backstage bringing girls to the green room, making out with them. Like I'm taking girls home. I let me see. I've been doing this for close to 10 years now, and I've never taken anybody home after the show. I just That's just never been a thing for me, and I've always been very terrified of one, having a kid out of nowhere because I've always wanted to be married before having a kid. But two, also that toxic side coming out and trying to give into your impulse, which thank the Lord, I've always had very good impulse control because yeah, like I'm my age, I'm not saying my age, but I'm my age. I have zero kids. And for a black male, that is extra rare because going to the schools that I like grew up in, besides the private schools, because that was a little bit later, but the middle schools and some of the high schools that I was going to, and even like family members and like for close friends or something like that, I've watched them be toxic and I've also watched them have kids beforehand. And I've also watched how those kids were raised before they were ready, which is why I think it starts with a good foundation, like a good friend group, a good circle. I always go back to that. It's like when you meet really good people that have those values, they don't allow you to do that. Yes, they still allow you to be you, but you're always going to get that text of, what the fuck, man? This is why I love Andy, B Fam, Cody, and Taylor so much because Taylor's the number one person that calls me out of my shit. She straight up will be like, no. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I like this girl. I think she's so pretty. I want to go talk to her. And she's no. And I was like, damn, why? She's like, just no. And then, like those values that she sees in me come out. And that's how I, want to do it. It's like, yes, toxic JJ, toxic Phonixxs. That's my brain. That was the whole point of this show. It's called Rebirth, which is the new single that I have coming out next week. And it's called Rebirth for a reason because I'm almost past that stage of being have joy, as the Vias say, have joy phonics, like going out partying, being crazy. I'm past that. And I want to always be known for my music and my skills rather than what's on stage.
See, the toxic brand is slowly being buried and rebirthed into one identity, which is JJ.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that for you as a friend. I love that for your growth journey. I think you just highlighted from beginning to now. And I'm glad you shouted out the people closest to you. Once they watch, I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that too and how much of an effect they've had on you. I'm curious, you want kids. Do you think you are ready to be a father now? And if not, why? And all the worries and concerns, tell me the truth. What are you most scared of with being a father?
Now, fuck no. I'm not ready to have a kid right now. That's always number one.
Even with the
Definitely.
right person?
No,
Imagine it.
I think I'm about 2 to 4 years off of that. That's what I think. Internally, I'm 2 to 4 years off of that.
Imagine though you met the right person and it's been a year into the relationship and she's, hey, my timeline, I don't want to really push it much further. I think it'd be good. Grandkids and all that, and just parents, I want them to see the kids grow up like that. Just imagine that being presented to you. Would you still want that 2 to 4 year mark of being ready? Which is fine. And that she might agree to that. It's you guys have to come together on that. Or would you say, you know what, I feel secure with you and this is fair?
Security is a bitch and it's always fleeting because security is just something that is attainable, but it's the goalpost always moves, if you get what I'm saying. And people change and situations change. And that's just a fact. So yes, I meet the right person. Yes. But I still want to give myself that 2 to 4 year window because I want to see how we handle conflict together. I want to see how we handle things together, like how we fight each other, like how we disagree on doing something or disagree on going somewhere. I'm big on fucking packing up and leaving. I will pack up and leave like nobody's business. That's just who I've always been. I've been to 42 countries and I've never, obviously you don't get to 42 countries by, think I'm going to go, man, I'm straight up, fuck it, let's do it. That's just how I've always been. So like establishing that and figuring it out with that significant other, that's going to be the big thing. And like I always say, is communication is key because communication fucks up a lot of shit. And am I the best communicator on stage? Yes. Off stage? Not really. Because I don't want to hurt someone, if that makes sense. Or sometimes I don't want to say something that puts people in a different state of mind. Like there are sometimes you're just going to get out of me and I'm going to be like straight up like, the fuck are you doing? Stop being stupid. But there are also sometimes that I'm like, you can see when somebody's hurting differently and you're like, maybe I shouldn't deliver this message how I was going to deliver it. So I think I still want to give myself that 2 to 4 year window, even if it's the
Yeah.
right person.
Yeah. And I think that's a very healthy answer because in the example I said, you guys have been together for a year and it feels really secure. And she brings you that challenge because of a timeline. So I think that's a healthy answer that you still want to maintain that 2 to 4 years. And whether I agree with it or not is not important. It's more important about what your own answer is and you held true to it. So I love that. That being said, what is something someone has told you that made you feel sad and was brought to you maybe the wrong way, but still it was true? Something that was true that you really didn't enjoy hearing about yourself, and maybe recently,
That was true that I didn't enjoy.
because it's true, yeah, that you know you have a lot of growth left on.
My last serious relationship, I think that was the person that was always like straight up with me, like mind everything else that happened. But she would end up saying things to me that I was just like, yeah, they're true. And you have to look yourself in the face and accept those things or be willing to change those things. And like you really don't know like I said, you don't know how you're going to react to something until you're in that situation. So yes, your reaction is always going to be different. So I think going back to what you said is I can't really pinpoint an exact thing, but what I can say is like,
Let's try.
let's try. Fuck.
Yeah, take your time. I can edit out all the short caps. I don't
Oh,
care.
you can. Okay. Okay. Just making sure you can
Yeah,
edit
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit
yeah.
out.
No, there's 0 pressure on time. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I wanna get one out of you. One that you're okay with at least having out there in the podcast, because I will not publish this. This will be published. So,
Good.
well, no matter what you say. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So, something I'm comfortable with, but one vulnerable moment that really comes out of yeah, and honestly, relationships are where we grow the most,
Yeah.
and that's where everything really gets shown like a mirror. So, I'm sure there's one that you might be okay with sharing. I know they're in your head, but and now that I've known you, especially through this podcast, I'm like, there's things you don't wanna say. You don't wanna get vulnerable, but we're gonna get one.
Vulnerability is a bitch because
I know, and I
I,
see you struggle with it, but
yeah,
it's okay.
I've always been the person that I don't look weak ever. Then I'm always the person that you can come to because I don't look weak.
But let's drop it for one part.
So actually, here's something. I've always lived a very clean life. Like I didn't even start drinking until I was 24. So that gives you context on not only my age, but like also how long it took for me to even do things that were outside of my character. I remember I had someone tell me is you can't run away from your problems. Sometimes you have to run through them. and you have to deal with them. And I think that was a stranger, to be totally honest. I didn't really know this person like that. To hear that, especially like for those that don't know, I used to be a professional runner for a while and almost qualified for Olympics last Olympic trials in 2021. I've always been a runner. And I remember one of these strangers, I can't remember who it was, but straight up told me that. And I was like, you look in the mirror and you look and self reflect and you really just, like I said, hindsight's 2020. And you really think of every situation that you could have ran in your head, how you could have handled differently, how you could have communicated differently. And there were a lot of things that in my past I fucked up. And mainly I fuck up privately. It's very rare that you'll see me fuck up publicly. But mainly you fuck up privately and you don't really look at something until it's done. So that person telling me that you can't run away from your problems just by leaving. You have to work on them. I think that's one of the things that stuck with me the longest because obviously the analogy of running, that's always going to stick with me. But yeah, that's always been the one that kind of hits home.
And that is a deep one for anyone that knows you, for anyone that's even hearing, like you being a runner, 42 countries, and even you, it looks like I can see it in your eyes. You're reflecting on that as you tell me about it. And what I love most is that you didn't put a hero's journey on this vulnerability. Sometimes when people are vulnerable about the things that bother them, that they don't want to tell people, especially when it's brought to their attention by either a relationship or by someone else, we add a hero's journey to it where we're like, yeah, that happened, but then I came out stronger on this end.
Yeah.
You're still on that journey. That question is still something that's brewing in your head. And I think it'll be one of the biggest questions for you. And I can't wait to be a part of your journey in figuring that out of how to approach that part, how to heal that part in you, because I'm sure it all starts from childhood, as it always does. And we're ready for that. You're ready for that. So you opening up and being okay with just leaving it on that is beautiful. Is there anything else you want to say as if you have this as your last video proof out to the world for your kids one day to see, or for anyone that wants to know you, that they can get to know you off of this one little tangent that you want to say before we end the podcast?
At the end of all this, yes, my career is to bring happiness and forgetfulness to people. And besides streaming my music, besides coming to shows, which coming to shows is like the biggest thing for me. And that's what I always want people to do is come to a show because that's the experience that I can be in front of 7,000 people, but I can also entertain each person individually. And that's always the goal for every artist, or at least every artist that's not so. And I think that's why early in my career and even now, people don't put me on lineups and people have banned me from opening or being on the same slot as certain artists just because I'm able to give that person or give that crowd a one-on-one experience and also tie into everything. And going back to it is like forgetfulness and making someone smile is exactly what my career is like. Going out from meeting people and doing things and people getting to know who you are. And like I made really good friends in the past, like I want to say 6, 7 months. Actually, no, it's almost a year now. Yeah, almost a year, 7, 8 months now. And those people, like the Jasons, the V's, the Andrews, the Jasons, the Jordans, you, Con, Paula, Kimberly, fucking Paulina, the girl that decides to always fucking travel and then disappear when I get to that same country. Like being open to those people, hanging out with those people and knowing those people and like those people holding you accountable and also those people watching everything you do and those people supporting you. And not just, like I said, not just oh yeah, he's this person. He doesn't need my help. Like, oh, let me share this randomly. Oh, let me comment on this randomly. Oh, let me, text him randomly and be like, hey, you want to have dinner? Hey, you want to have lunch? Hey, you want to just come hang out? Those things mean a lot. And like I said, doing so much for so many people. And then in some instances, taking people from being somebody that was at, let's say, a small dive bar and putting them on a big stage and then watching that person, those people turn on you and be like, oh, I was only friends with him because he got me shows. I was only friends with him because I got to hang backstage with Sway Lee. I was only friends with him because I got to meet fucking Galantis or I got to meet Excision. When you go from those people who are opportunists to people who are genuine, that changes a part of you. And there's, I always say this before, you can either go left or right. And always been a huge blue pill, red pill guy. And knowing that and seeing how people can change and seeing how if you're open to things and you're open to different cultures, different backgrounds, like Jill, Rachelle, Shivani, and those families have shown me, or just open to things that you wouldn't be open to. That right there shows a lot more growth than I believe anything. And like you said, like this all ties into love life. It's all ties into everything because it's all about your foundation. You can't build a house on sand because you build a house that its foundation's on sand, it's going to fall. Obviously, you build it on water, it's going to fall. But when you actually take time to lay that good foundation and put it down, that's when you're going to see the most growth. And now, when you see a show versus 5 years ago a show, there are two different shows. There are two different experiences. You're always going to get that same experience. You're always going to come. And I want people to forget because life sucks sometimes. And the person that they come to sing their favorite song, to hear it in a different way, to maybe hear that's different. Like one of the reasons why I love Jay Bray so much is Jay Bray, Matil, and Jay Bray, Matil, Zazu, and there's one other DJ I can't think of off the top. Oh, Bad Guy. I love them a lot because they basically took what I've been doing for years and have done it in their own way. And what I love about that is that I feel like those people aren't the ones that get the limelight. Those people aren't the ones that get those big opportunities, but those are the people that give people the experience that they are looking for. That's what you come out to get. And that's what means the most to me is I always, like I said, I've always wanted to be a person that is deep. And I've always wanted to be a person that can be vulnerable with somebody, but at the same time, I know how to keep my guard up and I know how to look out for others, but also look out for myself. So
Beautiful.
and I firmly and honestly believe there's a quote from Equalizer 3. That's why it's one of my favorite movies. And like I said, I'm a movie buff, so I love this shit. You are where you're supposed to be right now. And I resonate with that a lot because I feel like every stage that I've been on, every person that I've met, every person I've gotten close to or can be vulnerable with, and people that I can accept, like I can accept and they can accept me. Peter Bowie, Vinay, like you look at it and you just say, hey, like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like home is in people. Home is never in what you do. And home will never be your actual home. It's always going to be in people and it's always going to be in your heart. That's what I firmly believe. So I think that's boils down to who I am as a person and not phonics. That's who I am as a person.
I love that captures you perfectly, knowing you on a personal note, on having that context. I love it. Great wrap up. Everyone follow DJ Phonixxs on Instagram to see updates, or TikTok or YouTube where he's prioritizing things. You'll see updates on his shows. And his shows are definitely healing. I am telling you from a personal experience. Every time I go to those, I absolutely feel free to be me because everyone in the audience is actually being connected. And it's so hard to be shy. It's so hard to be timid. And it's so hard to have anxiety when you feel like the entire audience is being connected through music. It's just hard to cancel out those vibrations. So thank you for having those. And I want to highlight that the ending of this podcast, someone like DJ Phonixxs, an international celebrity DJ, or someone like Mike Tyson, or someone like Shaq, which both me and Phonixxs have met, I will always bring people like that on that have elevated their status and made something of themselves and get them to tell me about how they've been growing because we're never done growing. And this will always be a non advice podcast. There's no advice given. It's more of tell me your journey and let's see the human in you because we all judge ourselves for how much we've grown, how much we have left to do. And I think everyone that comes on the show will always show that there's always much more growing to be done. And I hope you can take some solace in that and some comfort in that is the highlight of this podcast. That's all we got for you. Until next week.